What a great evening. I can tell you all have not been out in big groups in a long time. It feels good, doesn't it? It feels good to connect with people and just to see friends. We're going to continue with our program, but I don't want you to miss out on that great coffee and that fabulous dessert. So continue nibbling away. We'll continue with our program, though. At this time, it is my pleasure to invite my friend Mike McGraw from Eastbrook Homes to join me. I love it. He just took a bite. All right, you're like, I'm okay. He's coming to the stage. The McGraw family has been dear friends to Wedgwood Christian Services for years. Mike's parents love this organization. They've passed that love on to their children, and we are just so thankful for their ongoing support. And Mike, I'm going to invite you to the stage because I feel like you might have a special announcement.
If I have a special announcement, I'm not sure what it is, but thank you for that. I appreciate it. You know, we're grateful to have been able to support this organization the way we have over the years. We've actually been partnering with them since 1997. I looked it up today. That was the first time we partnered with Wedgwood. And they kind of wanted me to come up and talk about why, you know, what causes us to want to support this organization. Number one, the fact that it's a faith-based organization focused on kids and families is of utmost importance to our foundation and our family. And for me, the personal experiences, I had the opportunity over the years to spend time with the staff and the kids. And those two things, or those two groups of people, are probably the biggest reason why we choose to support this organization. The staff is exceptional. Over the course of a couple years, I had a number of lunches with boys in the Antonini house, and I got to witness the way the staff interacted with those kids. And it was with remarkable grace and patience. They dealt with a myriad of challenges, and I just admired that. As a parent myself, I've got 3 boys, and I know how difficult that can be at times. And Wedgwood, I looked on their website today, they have 4 core values: integrity, excellence, compassion, and diversity. And I felt like I saw every single one of those through those staff members, and it was just really impressive. And most importantly, the kids. They're just kids. And I had the opportunity to get to meet a number of them and share lunch with them and talk about superheroes and sports and just a variety of things. And I saw reflections of my own kids in them. And when you spend time with them, you want to help them in any way you can. Many of them, or most of them, they're in difficult situations that are not of their own making. So as a group, we have an opportunity to come alongside them and support them, and I think that's really special. And Wedgwood, I guess, is capable of serving them, or they are capable of serving them in ways I can't and our company can't. And that's really ultimately the reason why we choose to partner with them and support them. And I guess I would ask that you do the same. Give generously and confidently tonight, and know that your contributions are going to an amazing organization. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you again, Eastbrook Homes and the McGraw family, for all that you do. Now it's time for an exciting part of the evening. It is time for us to present 2 awards this evening. We're going to start with the Leadership Award. This is the Doug and Lois Nagel Leadership Award. It was established in 2010. It is to honor those who demonstrate exemplary leadership, generosity, and a commitment to furthering Wedgwood's mission. I am excited because tonight my friends Jim and Jane ZWIERS will be winning this award. They are winning it because of their dedication, their enthusiasm, their leadership, and their servant hearts. Jim and Jane have been supporting Wedgwood since the 1990s. Their family got involved when their daughter wanted to do something for others at Christmas time over 10 years ago. So she fulfilled wish lists for kids at Wedgwood. I can tell you what this past year I witnessed the ZWIERS family in action at Christmas time. We were standing out in the parking lot, and all of a sudden a train of cars started moving into the parking lot. They all had little reindeer ears on the sides. They were all decorated up, horns honking. Out pops Jane with her antlers on. Her daughter's there, her son's there, everyone's there, and they were delivering carloads. I mean, I'm talking stuffed to the edges, full of toys for kids at Wedgwood. And it's not very often that you see college kids hanging out with their parents, doing good, and loving every minute of it. And when I saw that, I was like, that's the power of legacy. We talk about that a lot, but that's legacy in action. And Jim and Jane, thank you for what you do for Wedgwood, but thank you for inspiring your kids and next generations to do what they can to support others, because it does make a difference. From serving on our foundation board to our executive board of directors, our advancement committee, they put a lot into Wedgwood. Recently, they participated in a capital campaign as co-chairs, and this is one of my favorite stories of them. The goal was to raise $6.5 million. You know, you give a goal like that to Jane, and she's like, we're going for it. We raised $6.8 million in record time, months ahead of schedule. Isn't that incredible? And when we went around the room for the people on that capital campaign, at the end when we were celebrating, and it was like, so why are you here? What's your connection to Wedgwood? What do you think? Every single person had some connection back to the ZWIERS. And I think, man, if every organization in this town could have a couple like this out there working on their behalf, we'd change this whole city. So your work that you're doing, you're ambassadors, and you support the organization, and we just so appreciate you. I'd love for you both to come forward at this time so we can recognize you. Join me in welcoming Jim and Jane ZWIERS to the stage. Thank you.
Wow, that was quite an introduction. Thank you so much. Those were incredibly kind words. And Miranda, thank you for everything you do for Wedgwood. You have been so supportive over the years. So let's give Miranda a hand. On behalf of Jim and our family, it is truly humbling to receive this recognition tonight. Wedgwood has become a very special place in our hearts, and we are thankful that so many of our friends and family could be here tonight. As Miranda said, our involvement with Wedgwood began with a Christmas drive to provide holiday gifts for the on-campus residents. It was our first exposure to Wedgwood. I included our daughter Kate, who was a sixth grader at the time, and many of her friends and their families. And this tradition continues on today. It is so rewarding to know that we are doing a very small part to help support Wedgwood and their children in need. From this very first interaction, our involvement and support has continued to grow. We have been so blessed with the many ways our family has been involved in Wedgwood over the years. Their mission and work make a real impact in our community, and we have so many at Wedgwood to thank for their tireless and incredible impact. The first person I'd like to thank, and I'm looking for him, is Gary Ratterink. Gary is a warrior for Wedgwood, and he is great at raising money and recruiting warriors. I was so happy, Gary, that you invited me to become more deeply involved in Wedgwood, and I just wanted to say a heartfelt thank you. We also want to thank the leadership and the many staff and service providers who are the actual hands and feet of Christ. It is so reassuring to know that all support is put into action with God's love and strong stewardship approach. Your work makes it rewarding to support Wedgwood. And we also want to thank our friends for coming alongside Jim and I and for your contributions. In closing, I would just like to emphasize that Wedgwood does make a difference for our community and for the lives of the children at risk. It provides a voice for those who do not have a voice. And most importantly, it provides Christ-centered care and love for those that need it most each and every day. On behalf of our entire family, I want to extend a huge thank you to Wedgwood and the staff for their great work and for this recognition. Thank you.
Next, our Volunteer Award. This is the Molly Gingham Award of the Year. It was established in 2013 to recognize volunteers who have efforts that had a valuable impact on the lives of the residents that we serve and the individuals we serve at Wedgwood. Our namesake and inaugural winner is here. Molly, I'm not sure where you are, but feel free to wave so we can see you. Yes, good. Someone's waving. Oh, way there. Thank you, Molly. It's good to have you here tonight. I'm excited because this year we are recognizing Deb VANDERBAND as the Volunteer of the Year. She is the co-founder and executive director of Equine Assisted Development. She's worked with Wedgwood kids for over 3 years, donated countless hours, offered experiential therapy services for kids in our care that have immense trauma situations. And using the horse as a catalyst, she is able to connect with these kids in very deep and meaningful ways. What I'm going to tell you is I've had the privilege of sitting next to her at this table, and this girl needs an award, and she needs to be on everyone's committee. Sitting with her, you talk about a topic, and she's like, what are we going to do about it? Let's get some people together and let's do something. And I'm like, you go, girl. And to bring that kind of mission and that kind of passion to Wedgwood with the work you do with horses and for your volunteer work, we want to award you this evening. Please come to the stage and join me, Deb.
Thank you, all of you, for the recognition that Equine Assisted Development, what a wonderful opportunity for us this evening. A recreational therapist called me one time and she said, you know, what would equine therapy look like for a group of girls that I'm working with right now? I'm like, I don't know for sure, but let's see if we could give it a try. And so lo and behold, Wedgwood started coming to our farm 10 years ago with a group of girls. And now, hundreds of girls later, we can say the horses help, profoundly help, with the healing process that Wedgwood provides for these girls. It has been a pleasure and a heart mission to be with these girls, and we have extended this to not only the Manassa Project, but also to the Antonini girls as well. I think that one of the best stories that I could tell you about a horse is the fact that these horses have the ability to do things that most humans cannot do, is touch their hearts. They are scared, they are traumatized by humans as a whole, men and women and kids alike. So one time, we had the horses all out, and I asked the girls, we had been seeing them for quite a long time. I said, I want you to write a word on your horse that is a lie. And so the girls took their chalk and they wrote a word on the horse. Well, one girl comes walking up to me with her horse, and she's like, this is my word. And I was so thankful that she knew that the word was a lie. It was worthless. She had wrote the whole word out on this horse. And as we were talking about it, and as I was thanking her for recognizing it as being a lie, the horse pulled the lead line out of her hand and rolled on the ground as if to wash the word off and affirm the fact that it was a lie. So truly, it has been an amazing journey of working with these girls, and we hope to continue for a very long time. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Dan Gowdy, Wedgwood's president and CEO, to the stage to tell us the state of things today at Wedgwood. Dan?
Thank you, and welcome again to this wonderful, wonderful venue. I don't know who came up with this idea, but isn't this fun? Yeah, thank you. Well, actually, I do know who came up with the idea. It was the advancement team. And please, where you are, could you stand up, raise your hand, thank you for a great evening and all the hard work you put into this. Yeah, I'll pay for that a little bit later, right? Miranda, you are a treasure. You continually give and give to this community, and we are thankful. Thank you. Thank you. Tonight, we're here to celebrate the people we serve throughout Wedgwood's programs and the staff who make it possible to help them discover their wings. It is a joy to be celebrating with all of you and honoring these very deserving award recipients. Thank you. Wedgwood has been a staple in this community for 61 years. In that time, a lot has changed, but what hasn't is our mission. We've stayed close to our mission for 61 years, and that's to extend God's love to youth, adults, families, through professional counseling, residential services, and community programming. We have stepped in to provide a continuum of compassion and care to some of the toughest situations. You heard a little bit about that just now. Human trafficking, abuse and neglect, trauma, substance abuse, and of course the effects of all of that. With love and grace, we show youth and families what's possible with the right support. Today, we're one of the leading child care institutions in the state, but more importantly, we provide a continuum of care. And we couldn't do any of that without all of you. The people we serve, the dedicated staff, and the generous donors who continue to help us make a difference in the lives of those who depend on us. This past year hasn't been easy, has it? The challenges of COVID-19 is like nothing we've ever encountered before. Despite all the obstacles, Wedgwood has remained open. Thank you to the many dedicated staff, talented staff, who persevered through the height of the pandemic and continue today to faithfully help put lives back together, not just by giving up their time, but sharing their heart and their soul. Because of you, if you're a Wedgwood staff, could you do me a favor? Could you stand up? Wedgwood staff, stand up. You want to talk about heroes? These are the people that show up every day, and in some cases, take the worst of a person's life at the worst point in their life and take it on themselves and deliver continually, day after day, compassion and kindness and expert care. It's because of you, children and families we serve are able to continue their therapeutic services throughout the pandemic, whether it's been on campus, whether it's been online, or whether it's been in the client's home. Our residential treatment programs had an average success rate of 91%, and we have served over or nearly 1,000 individuals in our community-based substance use program. While I'm proud of these accomplishments, the essence of what we do is not in just those outcomes. It's in the people we impact, empowering hopeful lives. In a few minutes, you're going to hear from Dr. Wendi Miller, who came to us in the 80s as a struggling teen. Her inspirational story is a testament to the care and the compassion offered at Wedgwood. It's something that she recognized early on and is still very present with every person we serve today. Take Brissa. Brissa came to Wedgwood during the height of the COVID. Like many of the children and teens we serve, Brissa had already experienced more of life than at her age than anyone ever should. The team offered Brissa genuine kindness while addressing the real and deep psychological impact of human trafficking. The team rallied around her when she began to fail math and tutored her for several weeks on their own time. When she found out that she was going to finally pass math and then now graduate, she actually withdrew. You see, the joy that she felt in her own accomplishments triggered a severe feelings from her difficult past. Predators who deceived her with false promises of love and a stable life. Ultimately, she was able to distinguish that the genuine kindness and professional care she received meant something more at Wedgwood. It meant something different. She re-engaged and was chosen to speak at their graduation and enrolled herself in cosmetology school. While I sat in the back row last summer watching Brissa walk across that stage, I was overcome with emotion as I watched the team celebrate with Brissa. It was like the joy you felt watching your own daughter graduate. They cried, they laughed, they hugged each other over and over and over again. Daniel, one of the youth specialists, talented youth specialists, was taking pictures with 5 different cell phones, making sure that everyone had a good picture of that glorious day. I wish all of you could share in the joy and the love and the pride I saw and I felt. I don't know how more proud I could be, whether it was Brissa's remarkable story or the Cook Claws team that made it all possible. Even though it was scary for Brissa at times, Wedgwood team gave her a safe, grace-filled environment where she could heal and grow. She wouldn't have been able to do that without them. They helped her discover her wings so she could fly. Let me tell you about Derek. Derek has overcome so much. Before he was 2 years old, Derek watched his sister die in a car accident driven by his intoxicated mother. After becoming a ward of the state, his adopted parents struggled to manage his substance abuse, his combative and violent behavior, and self-harm. His parents knew about Wedgwood and prayed one day maybe Derek could get into Wedgwood. Just about a year ago, their prayers were answered, and Derek came to Wedgwood after having several run-in with the police and frequent suicidal and even homicidal thoughts. Since coming to Wedgwood, Derek's turned his life around. With grace-filled care, Derek has become a model resident with virtually no incidences and now even has a job. He will turn 18 soon and be accepted to an independent living program. Please pray for Derek as he arrives Monday, ready to move out and live on his own, but continue to receive the necessary support from Wedgwood's aftercare program. This is why we're here tonight, isn't it? The stories of Dr. Miller, Brissa, Derek, and everyone who has been able to soar because of grace and love and kindness they experienced at Wedgwood. While it's wonderful to hear these stories, isn't it? About the lives that we've helped change, we must stay vigilant for what's to come. Some of you may have heard me talk about this mental health tsunami. It references the rise of mental health that we've been anticipating for years, but the ongoing pandemic has intensified the tsunami, accelerating the arrival of the greatest mental health crisis of our generation. We're already seeing the early effects, indiscriminately wreaking havoc on hearts and minds, regardless of age or background. A recent study by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention showed mental health emergency room visits from April until October of last year increased 24% for children, get this, as young as 5 to 11 years old. Adolescents, ages 12 to 17, increased 31%. In a follow-up report, the agency said the pandemic has been particularly hard on adolescent girls. Suicide attempts are up 51%. Locally, the most recent Kent County Health Needs Assessment showed 1 in 4 adults have some form of diagnosed depression. That number is 1 in 3 for young adults 18 to 24. The report concluded that mental health is one of Kent County's top priorities for our community. When we hear statistics like this at Wedgwood, we immediately respond with, what can we do to help? The answer is seeking God's wisdom and direction to faithfully do more with what we're already doing and to boldly explore new ways to meet this growing challenge. Wedgwood's commitment to excellence and distinctively Christian work will work, but it will take a seismic effort to respond to this mental health tsunami, to build something that can help more children and families who are struggling with trauma and provide them with loving, compassionate, and grace-filled environment where they can flourish and soar, to forever change their trajectory of their life. Our Positive Youth Development Program, which is already in 7 schools, needs to grow to battle the devastating effects of social media networks that monetize disunity, anxiety, and loneliness. Our counseling program needs to expand to serve adults duly diagnosed with mental illness and a substance use disorder. Our Summit program, the only adolescent resident substance use program on this side of the state, needs to grow to accommodate a waiting list. Yes, a waiting list. Since April, we have turned away 66 youth from our residential programs because of the staffing shortages we are all experiencing. 66 young lives that could have shared in Brissa's and Derek's hope for a brighter future. Our community, our region, our state are experiencing a perfect storm. Rising demand for critical social services with a dwindling talent pool. We need to inspire a new workforce ready and able to meet the unique and growing mental health needs of our time. But we can do that. But we can't do it without you. People like Jim and Jane, Deb, organizations like Eastbrook Homes, and each and every one of you who partner with us faithfully through the gifts, the talents, and especially the prayers. For the last 61 years, we've been incredibly fortunate to have generous donors in the midst, without hesitation, that have helped Wedgwood fill the gaps in our community. We are at a critical time in our history, and how we respond today will directly impact those among us. I hope that you leave this evening inspired by the stories that you hear and will hear, by the artwork that you've seen, and the possibility of what lies ahead. I hope you'll join us as we tackle the biggest mental health crisis of our time. I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you once again for the incredibly talented team at Wedgwood that cares each day to serve others with the same way and with the same care that God has shown to us. Thank you for helping every child. Thank you for helping every teen, every family, every adult in our care find their wings and fly. God bless you.
Hello, my name is Kendrick. What's your name? I just want you to know, we are on your team. One more thing, I'm going to give you this just in case you want to write your thoughts down, draw, sketch, whatever you like. I promise you, we are not going to read it. This is for you, okay? Thank you. So tell me, you from Detroit?
I don't know. I think a couple of things
January 1st, 2019. Happy New Year. To be honest, all I can think of today is my Nana. She died 5 years ago today on New Year's. I can still remember everything about her house, like what it smelled like when I walked in the front door.
Hey, Kaden, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
January 16th, 2019. It's crazy that I've been here over 2 weeks now. Some of the staff are super strict, but most of them are okay. Especially my mentor.
What's going on?
Everyone keeps saying they want to talk to me about my anger.
Something trigger you?
I don't get it. Why would that even matter?
Not here to say
They don't know what I've been through.
I'm here to
So why even bring it up?
move on and excel.
Here we go. Alrighty.
When I got here, I was pretty angry. I didn't smile much. I didn't trust anyone. But I feel like that might be starting to change. Today, our activity therapist said that a rapper was coming to talk to us. When he came, he said he used to be here when he was our age. He was different. For starters, he sort of looked like us, not some weird old dude with a sweater. He talked about how the staff helped him out when he was here. He said he got angry sometimes too, and that they helped him to figure it out. His big thing was turning your pain into your gain. He said to find the thing that you're good at, that you love more than anything, and to put all of your energy into that. I wonder what my thing is. Hey, Kendrick.
Hey, Kate,
I've been working on something. I was wondering if I could show you it.
are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, man, thank you. Kaden, this is really good. You are so talented. Man, did you know that?
No.
Could you read this to me?
My gain. Sometimes I feel invisible. The hole in my heart, so deep I'm scared to look. Feels worse than miserable. We used to be a family. Now I see red lights all the way. Especially on New Year's Day, when they took my Nana away. It hurts. What could I gain if I just learned to breathe? That's my pain. What if I could use that fire that burns inside me? The pain in my heart that keeps me up nightly. Turn my pain into my gain. I was 1 month old the day my mother threw me away, but someone rescued me. Now I rise.
That was really good.
October 21st, 2021. It's been over 2 years since I left Wedgwood. I really did learn a lot at Wedgwood. Knowing that the staff believed in me gave me some hope for my future. I finally graduated high school, and I applied to college. Now, I can honestly say I'm excited for what the future holds.
powerful work being done at Wedgwood. At this time, we have someone with us today who actually experienced Wedgwood as a teenager. She lived in our residential program. When she left our program, she went on to marry, have children. She is currently the mother of 5, the grandmother of 3, and she's an ER doctor. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Wendi Miller. Welcome, Wendi. I'm so excited to have you here today. Having the chance to chat with you a little earlier, I know that this group is eager to hear your story. So tell me about Wendi as a teenager.
Okay, it's so long ago now.
I know, but I want you to go back a little bit.
Yes. So I actually was what you'd call a troubled teenager around the age of 10 or 11. I'd started running away from home, had dealt with a lot of issues. I had a mother who was mentally ill, had suffered some sexual abuse, but mostly was just very poor at handling life changes as an adolescent, and began running away, experimenting with drugs, got in a lot of trouble, was taken out of school and put in various placements by the time I was 12, and went through a variety of group homes, foster homes, the juvenile system, and mental hospitals actually. Would be someplace for 30 days, 60 days, get sent back home for a week, go somewhere else. So it was a very chaotic time. And eventually I had made my way into the state system, became a ward of the state, and was placed at Wedgwood. So I went into what was then called 1245 Lake Drive and started at their open program.
So what were your first impressions of Wedgwood as this kid who'd kind of seen a lot of things and been a lot of places?
Yeah, you know, when I remember arriving there and thinking it was one of the nicest places I had been. 1245 was the open program. It was a beautiful house, and there was some TV show back then with a bunch of girls who lived in a, you know, like some kind of a sorority house maybe for teenagers. But I tried to do that in my head, think that this was it. I was finally going to be like a normal kid, and I was living in this, like a boarding school house or something. So I thought it was going to be great, and I very much noticed that the staff were different than any place I'd been before. It was not like the same type of militarist, or I don't know, just it wasn't all discipline. It was a lot of caring that you just didn't experience in a lot of placements back then. So it was very different than what I was used to. I was used to being shuffled around. I could come in, find out, you know, what the schedule is, how you get in and out of locked doors, what time you eat. But this was a whole different experience. It was like moving into a home.
So it wasn't all rosy.
It sounds great, doesn't it?
You may have run away once or twice. You may have gotten kicked out of Wedgwood, but you came back. Why?
I actually got kicked out of 1245 not long after I got there. As wonderful as it was, that was kind of a theme of mine, was self-sabotage. Anything that seemed like it was going to turn around and go well, it quickly fell apart. So I did get kicked out, and my state worker told me that there was really no place left that I could go, that no place would take a problem like me. So I had to write and ask the people at Wedgwood to take me back. And I wrote letters and begged and said I would do anything, and I meant it. I think I was still 14 at the time. And somehow they agreed to take me back into the lockup, which was then called Kentwood Girls Lockup. And so I started over through that program. But it actually was probably the first thing before I got back. I remember laying there and crying and praying, because Wedgwood was one of the first places where I learned about people actually just praying outside of church, that you can just talk to God anywhere. And I begged God to get me back there. And so when I got the news that I was coming back, I was so grateful, and I thought, I'm going to get there, and this time I'm going to do it right. And that was something new to me, that I did have, instead of running away from something, I had something I wanted to get to. And getting back there was it.
And you got back, and things changed a bit. What was sort of that turning point? Was there anything when you think back where there was that moment where you were like, yeah?
I wish I could say there was. I will tell you that I got back, and I did work hard. I managed to get through the locked program and back to 1245, where I first came. And I learned so much, and I was touched by so many people, and I really learned to trust adults and see Christians as not something foreign, and Christianity as being something that I thought would be unattainable for a person like me. But it was a lot of little seeds that were sown, not like a sudden transformation. I never did finish the whole program. I left again under not great circumstances. Did go to a couple other placements. I actually was fortunate that one of the youth care workers took me in as a foster kid because there wasn't any place else to go. They told me I would have been in an institution until I was 21 and aged out of everything until this wonderful woman and her husband took me in. But I suffered a lot of setback. It was one step forward, two back, and then sometimes three forward and only two back for a long time after that. But it was a change because of all those things that I saw in the people and the things I wanted to have in my life, and going forward to have as part of what my children would experience, a Christian upbringing and a place full of love and acceptance, and a knowledge that you matter and that you're important. And so that's my answer.
And they talk about grace-filled care. You're living proof. It was grace-filled care. It wasn't just care.
Right.
There were some people who touched your life in a way that was so profound that you still have contact with them today. Tell me about some of the Wedgwood staff that still works and impacts you and your husband and your kids.
Yes. So I always tell Virginia Jansen was a youth care worker when I was at the lockup, Kentwood Girls Lockup. And she was probably only in her early 20s and dealing with us. And somehow she was somebody that I really connected with, and it wasn't always a positive thing. We had what was called a house riot, and I actually threw pool balls and hit her with a pool cue. But managed to overcome these things. And so she prayed for me a lot and made me a plaque that I still have to this day that said, "Press on." And so that verse got me through so much in life, and Virginia, and the time that I spent with her and seeing how she lived her life as a Christian just really inspired me. So we kept in touch throughout the years after I got out of Wedgwood, became friends actually, and I carried that press on, towards that goal that I knew the Lord was calling me, and I had faith in that. So Virginia is still a very good friend of mine. Actually, last night when I flew into town for this, I went and visited her and her husband. My husband, he's heard about Virginia for years, and just her faith was something that I still try to model. Remarkably, my oldest daughter, I think, has Virginia somehow that same ability to just connect with God and find a way to take that connection and share it with somebody around them. Virginia was like the face of God in my life at that time. And so she's just been amazing and just a true role model all of her life. Every struggle she had, she was open about, but the way that she relied on God's, instruction, God's wisdom, and just the faith that she had in God that it would all work out, and it does, even if it takes 20 years for some of us, rather than a couple of months in care. So Virginia's been very, very much a part of my life. And there was another staff member that I was close with, Sandy, who took me in as a foster child. Her and her husband were newlyweds, and he was a pastor, and they lived in the parsonage of a church after she left Wedgwood. So she and her husband took me in and let me live there with them as a foster child so that I could get out of the system that was. And we continued to have daily devotion, something I'd never heard of in my life, and went to church there at the Reformed church that he was serving, and just really found a whole new dynamic of living in a household, like a regular community household that was Christian, and gave me something else to kind of model my family after later. So those people were amazing.
I look at you and I see success. I see confidence. I see a woman who appreciates the journey.
Yeah.
What would you say to teenagers today, many who feel hopeless, lost, people have given up on them, they don't know what's next?
Yeah. I think the first thing is, I think back and it's, whatever happened to you or whatever you did that got you here, that those things do not define you, and that Wedgwood, being placed at Wedgwood is like such a blessing that God is giving you tools and people around you that are going to open doors that never would have happened. So the worst possible thing, as bad as it feels, now has turned into something good. And to take that and, you know, as hard as it is sometimes, because I know I was very defiant and you know, wouldn't have probably listened to myself when I was their age. But that, you know, just take this and let it seep in, because someday this is all going to be so valuable to you. It will get you through unbelievable challenges and lead to great things.
Well, I want you to look out at the room. We have tables and tables of people who are here that probably share my heart. That's like, someday I want someone to say, I remember looking at her and thinking, that's the face of God. What would you say to our donors tonight?
I just want to thank so many of you. You have no idea what a difference this is. I really did spend years in placements where you were scared to be left in the room alone with a male staff member. And the girls that I was with at Kentwood, that was one of the things we would talk about, was we couldn't believe that these men would take care of you, and we weren't scared. We weren't worried about there being any accosting of you or anything. But the fact that not only that, the fact that we had these Christian people who could say they were Christians and serve us, when at the time I remember you couldn't go to school, and you know, they were taking away prayer groups in schools and things. I don't know how this works. I don't know how it happened that I was so fortunate to end up there, but that this is a very unique place, and that the people, all of you who are doing this, you are changing the lives of people for generations to come. Because had I not been at Wedgwood, had I not experienced that, I would not have been able to raise my children in a Christian household. I now have grandchildren. I have a grandson graduating from a Christian high school down in Florida this year. It's just the things that I experienced and that I was blessed with, now I was able to give to my 5 kids. My daughter's worked in missions, and she tries to share God's love with everybody. So you're just exponentially, you know, spreading out love that would not have probably reached some of these people in other ways. I mean, I didn't know Christians. I would not have ended up in church on my own. I surely would not have been sitting up here and able to, you know, look successful and feel successful and actually be successful had I not been given so much from Wedgwood. So thank you. And I feel like I am fortunate to be able to sit here and tell you that yes, what you do works and it matters, and it's the greatest blessing ever. And I myself hope to be able to give somehow in a way that Wedgwood can impact another, you know, generation of people that are suffering.
You certainly are.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Wendi Miller, thank you. I don't know about you, but for me, I want to give where my money truly is going to make a difference. And I watched the video, I heard the stories, I listened to the award winners, I look at Dr. Wendi Miller and I think, man, day in, day out, Wedgwood is doing the work I don't think I can do, but I want to empower the people who hang in there every day, because you know what? Payday is sitting in the chair right there. And so if you're looking for investments and ways to make an eternal difference, Wedgwood is one of those ways. It's where you can step in and say, I'm investing today for something that we might not see for years to come. But I feel like there will come a time where we'll be able to gather and look at each other and say, remember when we met at Wedgwood? Or that $1,000 you gave at that Wedgwood banquet, it changed my life. It got me into treatment. It helped my family. It moved us forward in different ways. It provided therapeutic riding. Whatever it might be, your dollars at Wedgwood certainly do impact the lives of others. And tonight, it's exciting because 100% of your donations will go to continuing to help the work at Wedgwood. Eastbrook Homes has given us a match. We have a $7,500 match on the table. We're going to blow that thing away, I know it. And what do we have for you tonight? On your table, you've got envelopes. We have a kiosk where you can give. And I want you to just think about what you and your family can do to support the good work. You know, if I'm around in another 20 years, I would love to meet the next generation of Wendi Millers who can sit on this stage and say, I didn't know what I was doing. I was lost. I didn't know where I was going, but someone helped me get into Wedgwood, and this is who I am today. That's a reward. So I want you to think about giving. I want you to think about how you can support the good work. It has been a tough year. I know you watch the news. I know you see the stats and you think, what's happening to our world? Well, I want to tell you what's happening to our world. What's happening to our world is it's time for us to rise up and do what we can, and this is something we can do. We can empower others to help and to make a difference. On your table, you have little paper airplanes. They're there because they're cute, but they're also a little gift for you. We want you to take those home tonight. And I want you to just set it on the kitchen counter or put it on the dash in your car. But every time you look at that little airplane, I want you to think about how you were able to give someone wings so they could soar. And I want you to pray for our workers at Wedgwood who are working long hours in fields that most of us would not be able to stay in for 20 minutes. They're hanging in there. We've got 25-year, 35-year people who have been in the industry, and they're there because they love kids and they love sharing Jesus. So look at that airplane and think about how you can make a difference and how you are making a difference. Once again, if you have any questions about the good work at Wedgwood, you can always find it on our website, but we have a whole crew here who would love to tell you more. At this time, we're going to wrap up our program. If you have a moment and you want to speak to Dr. Wendi, she's amazing. And I just would encourage you to think about how you and your family can get involved in Wedgwood and make a difference, like the ZWIERS family. Or maybe you can offer up some riding programs, or whatever you do, there's a place for you at Wedgwood. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, and I hope you have a great evening where you live. Thank you.
Come fly with me, let's fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay.